What's up, Ego Hackers? Welcome to the CS Joseph podcast. Today's question is, what does a UDUF INFP look like? Which is the despair energy of the INFP. And ultimately, as far as cognitive focus is concerned, at least in the traditional sense, what we used to call it a long time ago, this would be basically what is known as Superego Focus. Superego Focus, the ISTP focus, which is all about taking matters into one's own hands, provided the INFP can actually do the one thing that all INFPs need to do in order to destroy their specific, personal delusions that they have as a result of having introverted feeling hero. You get a lot of criticism as of late. Look at the camera, look at the camera. Everyone just imagines to themselves that I'm camera shy. It's more like, I just don't give a shit. I just don't care. I don't care about looking at the camera. Oftentimes there's a lot more interesting things to see here. For example, animals, beautiful women. So why am I going to look at my boring camera the whole time? You INTJs out there, I don't see you guys making any content because you're too afraid to do it anyway, so why don't you get over yourselves? And right now, I am sitting underneath a lightning storm, which is pretty awesome to watch. Also waiting for John Bodine to show up for our next shoot. So yeah, UDUF INFPs, despair energy, where basically, if I know the truth, I have power. Basically, there's only power found in the truth. Honesty is the best policy, or basically they just have to get to a point where they are completely and entirely honest with themselves, which is ultimately the test of the demon, basically, in terms of developing their introverted thinking demon. But the thing is, though, is that brutal honesty for the INFP UDUF, it basically is the path of the INFP. Trying to save my cigar, sorry. Some rain droplets, a little bit. I'll be fine. So, UDUF INFP is they're extremely powerful. They are the most powerful, actually, of the 16 types. They are the most powerful. They wield cognitive origin of authority. They are the source of authority. No one can outlead them eventually once they aspire. The thing is, it's really hard for UDUF INFP to aspire because they're constantly trying to take matters in their own hands. They're constantly trying to solve their own problems. And oftentimes they don't even feel the need to actually speak up. They don't want to speak up because what's the point? No one's going to listen anyway. So the UDUF INFP's internal monologue is extremely loud. It's actually probably the loudest of all of the 16 types. The ISTP demon constantly talking and just not letting up. And it's because the ISTP demon is basically torturing the INFP from the inside out. A lot of torture with the truth and the facts. And as much as I would like to believe that I absolutely loathe reality entirely with extroverted sensing demon, the INFP with ISTP superego is trying very hard to still ultimately command reality around it and have mastery of reality, because that's the only way that they've been able to survive. The ISTP superego, with its demonic power, they sacrificed their comfort basically in exchange for the ability to perform, or the ability to create, or the ability to impact the physical environment around them, to the point where they realize that they've had no choice but to lean into their own freedom, and they're not going to necessarily allow anyone to take that freedom away, because, hey, no one cares about my comfort, so I'm going to at least go out of my way to solve problems, for the sake of validation. And they end up validating other people and being a source of validation, or as well as sucking up all of the validation in the room. And, I've noticed a few UDUF INFPs in my time who are like extremely good at playing pool, for example, as well as being extremely good at poker. And it's just like they're constantly going out of the way to win this popularity contest, basically proving to everyone else that they're the smartest one in the room. And because I am the smartest one in the room, you should listen to me. You should hear my opinion. My opinion is obviously the most valuable because I just happen to be the smartest person in the room. And that's what it ends up happening. What's up?
Not much. How are you?
Good.
Good.
As much as good can be.
You're alive and well.
For the moment.
It's a good place to be.
Lol. So funny, ENTJ woman with her ISFJ, and they should be together, but they're in denial about it, and I don't know why. The ISFJ beta orbiter, so sad. Wish he'd just be more honest with her. Like, hey, you want my time and attention? You're gonna have to like actually choose me. That would be what I would recommend to that guy. So. Yeah, UDUF. UDUF basically happens because, in their childhood and their adulthood, they were entirely disabled. They manifest things for other people consistently. They prefer other people to lead them, which can be really problematic. And they are extremely slothful, oftentimes to the point of making other people very, very slothful. And it's because that they've had to be so honest with themselves that they actually see the grim truth of the world. And so from their perspective, it's like, why bother doing anything? Because there's no way I'm going to get any power in life whatsoever. So why bother? Why bother? And they are just constantly plagued by endless feelings of powerlessness. And as a result, they just have to basically force themselves on a consistent basis to perform, and it's ultimately against their will. They oftentimes feel like they are just this slave who exists to be just this workhorse, and it's really sad for them on a regular basis. Very sad. I feel bad for them. I feel really bad that this is like their life outlook. And of course, they should probably work on being subconscious focused and getting back into their ESTJ side. But in order to do that, they would actually have to realize that there's more to life than what they think themselves. Being honest with themselves, they should realize that other people can be honest with them. And that's the thing, UDUF INFPs are hyper sensitive with their inferior function, hyper sensitive to criticism, and because of that, they have a hard time. Learning. Oh, don't mind me. Be as loud as you want. I appreciate it though. So yeah. Anyway, it just continues to be ridiculous for them, and it's just so sad. It's just so sad. They had to sacrifice, like they never got their comfort, so they sacrificed their comfort to their demon. So in exchange for the demon's performance, and also their morals and principles never actually mattered to anyone because likely their parents or siblings put their personal principles above theirs, and they're never actually able to develop them. So based on that, it's like, well, I'm just going to be a clunky ISTP workhorse who has no power whatsoever, and I'm just used, by other people to provide what? Provide, like manipulation of the physical environment, just to be this slave who's, on the Amazon assembly line and can't just get out of it, assembly line in terms of like the packages and moving them along, etc., and just having this boring, dull life where they're just constantly in their head and not even willing to say anything because what's the point? What's the point? What's the point? And asking the question, what's the point, is constantly going on and on and on, over and over within their heads, and it just won't stop. I mean, they've basically entirely given up on life, and, from their perspective, they're going to suck up as much comfort as they can, try to take whatever comfort they possibly can. They expect other people to lead them and potentially lead them to the promised land and lead them away, and they just basically stopped dreaming. There's no point in dreaming. What's the point? I dream something up and I manifest it for other people, but then they take it from me and they use it for their own ends, and they don't do it for me. They don't help me. So what's the point? Like, I have no support, I have no power, I have no influence. I'm just a workhorse. What's the point? So it ends up becoming a big problem. Oh, I see John Bodine right over yonder. So what they have to end up doing, though, is that they have to at least have faith. But it's hard, really hard for UDUF INFP to have faith because they sold their introverted sensing child basically to the demon. And that sucks. It really sucks. It sucks to be them, basically. And that, too, is a big problem. John still hasn't spotted me. I'm going to wave at him as soon as he starts looking this direction. So I think he probably saw me. I don't know. Hopefully he did. So anyway, that's just kind of where it's at. So yeah. Now, they have to get to a point in their life where they realize that, yeah, I've just basically given up. Yeah, I'm really honest about this. But here's the thing. They have to have the perspective of, how do I earn sloth? It's all about earning sloth. They have to earn the right to be slothful, which means they have to be willing to take initiative in their life and actually lead themselves first and then lead others because they're able to lead themselves, right? That's how they gain access to the ESTJ subconscious. That's ultimately how they gain access to subconscious focus, to get away from their ISTP superego and into the promised land of their ESTJ subconscious. And then at that point, they're able to actually get the cognitive origin of authority for themselves, ultimately. And that, too, is a really, really big deal. And that, too, is something that they should absolutely do whenever possible. And I highly recommend that that's what happens. So yeah, it's a big deal. It's entirely necessary. So, but yeah, UDUF, INFPs, that's kind of what they're all about. The little workhorse. But they got to be honest with themselves. They are brutally honest with everybody else, but they got to be brutally honest with themselves and come to the realization that I have to earn the right to be lazy, basically. And then that's how they can pick themselves up from their bootstraps and actually have a future and actually gain power and stop dealing with overwhelming feelings of powerlessness. They just have to start believing that they have, that they can do it. They have to have faith in themselves. And as soon as they do, well, guess what? They have a future. They've gone all the way. They can have something so much more than what they already have. So anyway, folks, thanks for watching and listening, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.